When I called, they told me you would be discreet.
Well, that depends.
Depends on what.
Depends on exactly what kind of vermin you have running around in this museum.
How should I know? You're the experts.
My point is, Ms. Diamond, how do you know you even have an infestation?
There. That's how I know.
Blimey, that is a healthy shit. They're eating well. That smells like cheddar.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's Up With That, the show that brings you interesting people, places, cultures, and subcultures here in the South Bay, the San Francisco Bay Area, the state of California, and beyond. And tonight, what's up with the 48-hour film project? What is the 48-hour film project, and how does somebody make a film in 48 hours? Well, being a film student, I know that trying to even attempt to make a film in 48 hours is a task. You have setting up the sets, you have to choose locations, you have to set up the cameras, and all this stuff takes a long time. And then you have to make a film. But most of all, you have those actors, that diva actress or diva actor who's going to say to you, don't you think maybe we could do it this way? Well, I'm sure that these filmmakers have to encompass all of these and more. It's a challenge. It's a great, great project, and we're going to see some great clips tonight. It's going to be an exciting show. Please welcome from the 48-hour film project, Vincent Lowe. He is the city producer for San Jose 48-hour film project. What's up, brother?
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Here.
And Jacob Rangel, he is an award-winning Bay Area filmmaker. We're very lucky to have you tonight. All right, so let's get started. What is the 48-hour film project?
Well, it started 10 years ago. A group of people decided it would be fun to see if they could actually make a film in one weekend. And it grew to now...
A long weekend.
Yeah, it is a long weekend, although that's not the only way to do it. But most of the time it's a small team of people, 6 or 8 people, and they stay up through the whole thing, and they have to write it, they have to shoot it, and then they have to cut it and turn it into us before the weekend's done. It's quite a feat. In fact, as my dear aunt would say, it's batshit crazy to try doing this.
Well, I would say that the last 2 hours must be sheer panic.
Oh, absolutely. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, you don't have time to panic anymore because you're just not even
so
thinking
burnt
about
out.
it. Yeah, you look at the clock and you're working as hard as you can.
I bet. So we just saw a clip of your film. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the audience just saw?
That was just one of the opening scenes of the film that we turned in, and that was called Raton. And it was a short film, and it was done in all 48 hours. It was produced, written, shot, edited, finalized, and turned in all in the last 2 hours, though, of it was really just pretty mad.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because you're always
just get
running
this
out of
thing
time.
done,
Yeah,
right?
you're always dealing with technical things, so there's always
Right.
like that element. And even though we had this like cutoff time, it's just funny how like you just blow past it. And my editor, he was like so busy, and we took the laptop in the car and we're actually putting it onto the disc as we pulled up. And then
I would
after we
assume
turned it
there's a
in,
lot of tricks to the trade.
Oh, yeah.
Happens a lot.
he forgot his shoes though. That was the only problem.
Oh, I was going to say, what he's not telling you is they wrote it, and then they wrote it again, and then they shot it and produced it. And, Jacob turned in his film this year. This was the first time he'd done this. But when he turned that film into us, he knew he had a winning film. It was on his face, and he said, I think we won.
So what was your inspiration in your film?
Well, it really came from the set. My friend Jason, who's my DP and longtime collaborator, he has his parents own a pretty old laundry.
Okay.
And you walk in there and it's like a David Fincher set. It's just everything's is dilapidated and like old, and it all looks good and has these crappy lighting.
Yeah,
you
those
know?
are the best though.
Yeah.
You walk into those places.
So I just knew that with that location, it was like that was key to, you know, and that inspired me. We had a lot of ideas, but they were really grand, and I just kept taking it down simple. And the night before everybody showed up, you have to like write Friday night. You get like the they give you like the genre and all your props and the things that you have to have in the movie Friday night. So you're just like writing basically all the way. Most people I think write till about midnight or 1, and then they pack it in. But we just were getting started like around 1, and we wrote on this idea to like 5 or 4. I mean, and then everybody went to sleep, and I decided to change it when everybody was asleep.
So the goal is to produce a film in 48 hours from beginning to end.
Right. Anywhere from a 5 to 7 minute film.
Okay. Well, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not talking about like a 2-minute short.
You can do that. I mean, I think the minimum is like 3 minutes, right?
4.
4.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell. That's even harder to tell a story in 4 minutes than it is in 7. So, I mean, I think, you know, it's like commercials, the way they're shot, 30 seconds, it's in and out.
Well, I remember in film school they'd always say, downsize it, always think of the least amount that you need. Then you see it and you're like, I should have left that scene in, because now it's like, now it's really bugging me that I worked on that and it's just missing that certain thing. But
well, that's the problem that people run into, Andrew. You shoot this and you work really hard. We spent 2.5 hours shooting this scene, and you get to the cutting room and go, we really shouldn't put that in, but God, we worked so hard on it. We got to put it in. And if you leave it out, a lot of times your movie's actually better. The shorter movies tend to play better with the audience. And it doesn't matter what your craft is, TV, film, speech making, your job is always get off the stage while they still love you. So I say shoot for 5 minutes if you can,
So what are the requirements then for the project?
Well, so the filmmakers gather on Friday night, and we have them draw their genre randomly from a hat. And then we give them a prop that they have to, all the filmmakers use the same prop. They have to include a line of dialogue that has to appear in the film and a specific character. It could be Joe Schmo, the...
That's very funny.
It's great fun to do.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of...
Very challenging.
And it's crazy. And so some teams will argue till the next day about what the story should be. Some teams come in, they get an idea, they say, okay, let's take this first idea, they write it, go to sleep at midnight, wake up and shoot it. And it runs the whole gamut.
Well, you've had some ideas, and we're going to see some of your clips right now. So why don't you tell us what we're about to see here?
Well, so one of the things we're really proud of is that we draw a lot of young filmmakers who are even at high school age or just beginning film school themselves.
Right.
And we
so you're
had
like the teachers, and you're sort of their mentors.
Well, I mean, we don't interact with them very much. We just tell them what to do, and we give them a platform to show their work. Usually they'll have a faculty advisor. But we had this incredibly talented group from International High School in San Francisco who came to our festival this year, and they drew, as their genre, they drew foreign film. Like, how would you feel if I gave you foreign film to make, right?
Wow.
They were French.
That would be a trippy one, huh?
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you do?
Like pretty
I
crazy.
would just make up a language.
Well, that's been done.
Yeah,
see, there you go.
But that's not
You should
made up.
try it.
Yeah,
You're good at
and
it.
then you can put some, that would be hilarious.
Well,
I like that. I'm going to take that
And then you
idea.
can call it Harigaba, from the little island nation of East Wahuli,
You have to spell that for me.
okay,
I'm
so
sorry, go
ideas are
ahead.
stolen. Well, in this case, fortunately, they were French students, so they did a film speaking in French. But when you see the clip, you'll notice the subtitles actually aren't what they're saying in French.
Oh, that's funny. Yes,
And they told us that their teachers, who are native French speakers, they're French, they didn't really get the movie. But the audience loved it, and we loved it too. And this clip shows the setup for the story. You'll get, by the way, that their character that they were required to include was an exterminator, and that kind of shows when you see the clip.
I'm liking it already. All right, let's check out the clip.
Tu peux me passer la baguette, s'il te plaît, Michel?
Le fromage?
La baguette, s'il te plaît.
Tour de France.
La baguette, s'il te plaît.
Oh, Voilà, la baguette.
Merci. Oh.
Quelle chance.
Voulez vous coucher avec moi? Ta femme, elle est magnifique.
Ouais.
Ta gueule, crotte. Sale pute.
C'est la vie.
Ah oui, oui.
Ah oui, oui, oui. Le jus d'orange est frais.
Tour Eiffel. Musée Pompidou. Tu peux me chercher du vin, s'il te plaît?
Oui.
Ma chérie, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Sacré bleu!
Où est le toilette?
Appelle Tintin.
Charles de Gaulle.
Ouais.
All right, well, as you can see, that was awesome. 48 hours. 48 hours. I'm still stuck on that. It's amazing. So I'd like to, we were just previously talking about the genres. So what are the different genres? What could I possibly perceive picking?
Oh, so some of them are fairly standard, like action adventure and cop drama. There's buddy film. And then we also, foreign film was actually a wild card. So when a team gets their genre, they can actually panic and say, no, we could never do this, and toss it. And then we give them an alternate when they're stuck with like foreign film. The one that I think does best with audiences is mockumentary, because it's usually easy to make.
All right.
You can get your family and friends to be in it, right? And we all know what it's supposed to look like, and you can just have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. It's what I would want to draw. And the last 48-hour film I made myself, we drew action adventure. I didn't even know what to do, man. And if I'd known Jake, I'd have had him on the phone.
What's the hardest one, do you think? Is that the hardest one?
It goes by, like, this girl called me the night after everybody had disseminated and said, I can't do horror film. I don't like horror films. I don't watch them. I don't even know what's supposed to be in there. I think what's hardest varies by person. So, Jake, what would be the hardest genre for you?
Well, I mean, it really doesn't. It's like, you know, somebody might think a musical's hard, but somebody else might have a musical background, so it'll be easy to them.
Let's say you get musical too.
Oh yeah, musical or Western.
Man, this is great.
Well, they mix that. That's actually a mixed genre. So you draw and it goes musical or Western. You can choose.
Okay.
It was some people made a musical Western.
Yeah, I was going to say, just make a musical Western.
Exactly.
And there's like femme fatale, right? Like
okay.
And then there's a couple other ones. I don't know. There's a couple of genres that I thought were pretty tough. I can't remember them right now. There's a lot of genres though. And sometimes they rotate them, so not every year there's the same ones, I think. There's like different ones.
So they throw in some surprises. So then you said you get a line of dialogue. Okay, so give me, like, in your film, what was the line of dialogue?
It was tell me again why this matters.
Okay, tell me again why this matters.
Yeah, it wasn't, maybe when we first read it, it sounded like it might be easy to slip into some dialogue, but
yeah, impossible,
proved
right?
pretty hard. Yeah, you know, compared to, like, I read the years previous, and it was, the lines seem a lot easier. I don't know, I just think, but
I think they're running out of ideas, though. So this year, in fact, this month in a newsletter they send out to all the 48-hour faithful, they've invited fans to send in favorite lines, because there was a line this year, like, I saw a line like, Deja Vu. This is Deja Vu all over again, stolen from Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah.
That's not who it was. So I
Somebody.
think they're running out of ideas now, and they're like, okay, let's.
Yeah, somebody. We know that.
Yeah. So we submitted a few of our favorites of what would be the kinds of lines that would be fun to have people have to put in their movie. You know, my favorite
It's
is
really
this.
fascinating, actually.
It's going to take a lot more men than that.
Oh.
I think you could go all over. With
Oh
that.
yeah, that
You could just go.
that's any genre.
You could go
Yes.
crazy with that one.
There you go.
Well, that sounds like a. So then you get all the stuff, and then you sit down, you pre-plan. Okay, is that like a total? Is it director say all, or do you work as a team? Is it?
Depends on the director.
I don't know. I mean, you know what? The one thing I learned, I did 2 of these things. We did another one like just recently, a 72-hour, which is even harder because it's misleading. You think you have an extra day, and it's you just
There's more problems.
just more
right?
rope to hang yourself with. You try to go bigger, and that's the rule on this thing is like, oh, keep it simple. Like over that'll you'll always win. But the whole situation we got into with what we were just talking about was that. I usually think that the best films that I like are the people that have the most control, but not trying not to be like a micromanager, but I think that someone has to have a clear
vision.
Yeah, and the first one I did, I didn't know how to manage the people as well. I mean, I've managed crews before, but this is more collaborative. But still, it came down to me like making some tough decisions and following through with those, and you know, basically, it comes. You have to like someone has to own the store, you know.
Yeah, but how do you deal with the one uncooperative one?
Well, I mean, I was the writer-director and the team leader, so I was kind of like God to everybody else.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I only would throw lightning bolts when I had to.
Okay. I guess I mean, you do have to at some point.
Yeah, and you know what? Our second film was even harder. You know, we ended up, some people had some falling outs just because you get so many people on a film set and it becomes a point where there's too many. Even for a
Right.
short film
Yeah.
project like this, you need like a very like tight indie crew that can work fast and well together and long hours. You know, like these last, you know, sometimes you got to go 2 days without sleep, basically, when you do this.
So, what skills does a perfect team member have?
You know, I think it varies by team because there are sometimes when you have, I think you kind of experimented, Jacob, with the different team sizes. Some
Yeah.
teams are 30 people. There's a guy on the East Coast who makes every 48-hour film all by himself. He writes, shoots, sings,
Wow.
directs, acts, everything. I think somewhere between those, I like teams now that are about 6 or 8 people, and then you want a team member to have a multitude of skills.
Okay.
Yeah, but I say it's number one, and just like with anything, it's attitude.
Right.
Someone who's like passionate and is not gonna like he's not gonna run out of gas in the final 6 hours. You know,
Right.
the final like leg. That's when they need.
Lounging on the couch. when
Yeah,
everyone
or
else
be
is
like, oh, I'm
doing
tired. So you need someone with a good attitude and lots of passion, and you know, and being reliable, obviously, because
Right.
they have to. And you don't know these things. You work through these, but I found a lot of great crew members just by doing the one where we made Raton.
Right.
People rose up. We saw some people just like, you know, hidden talents arise. And that's when you really, and that's why I knew we had something special, because everybody was hitting on all cylinders for 2 days straight. No sleep, no
Right.
like, you know.
Yeah, and they can be a little ragged. After,
Oh,
a little
yeah.
attitudey after that
Especially
point.
like, oh, the director has another idea. Huh?
Oh yeah, oh, Mr. Know-It-All.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're going to see another clip from you, and we're going to see the clip first, and then I'm going to have you
Sure.
explain it. So here's another exciting clip from 48 Hour Film Project. Check it out.
You nut, I nut, we all nut for peanuts.
Now you're losing the butter.
Ah, shit.
Now we've all heard how the humble peanut has nourished hungry stomachs across this great land.
Why don't we just go with the dog gag? You know, the... Cause it sticks.
That doesn't make me want to buy peanut butter.
I like it.
That's annoying.
But have you heard the tale of how the peanut nourished a great American mind?
We can put it in a heart-shaped box. Or we can put it in a peanut-shaped box.
Stupid. In a peanut-shaped box? Perfect.
George Washington Carver, the father of our country's favorite snack.
Wait! Isn't there already a George Washington Day?
George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver Day. It's completely different.
Picture George Washington, only black.
And more peanutty.
More peanut buttery. Don't forget the butter dog.
Ah, yes. I don't get it.
Toy sales spiked during Christmas. Turkeys on Thanksgiving, chocolates on Valentine's Day.
Whiskey on St. Patrick's Day.
George Washington Carver invented peanut butter, and that deserves celebration.
But There's no such thing as Black George Washington Day.
And that's what we're here for.
Picture this, the all-American family, mother, father, tucking in their little girl on George Washington Carver Day Eve.
Visions of nut-based hydrogenated confectionery delights dancing through their brains.
She wakes up, walks down the steps on George Washington Carver morning. A creamy excitement fills the air.
And if they're lucky, they were visited by George Washington Carver the night before, carrying bags of officially licensed, old-timey Sutter peanut butter products. Or even better, perhaps they can go to the mall the next day where she could sit on his lap and partake of his nutsack.
Of his what?
They would decorate the peanut trees with officially licensed ornaments.
There's no such thing as peanut trees.
Then we'll invent peanut trees, just like George Washington Carver invented peanut butter.
Invention is the spirit of George Washington Carver Day.
Amazing. Again, amazing. So Vincent, tell me a little bit about that film.
Well, you know, we were just talking about what makes the ideal team members. This group was an improv group from the South Bay. And when I look for talent to make a 48-hour film project, that's pretty much where I look, is I look to improv groups like Comedy Sports or one of the improv groups in the area. It gives me talent that can roll with the punches. You know, some teams like to script it out and then they have somebody write through the night and there's a script and there's storyboards and all the rest in the morning. Some of the best producers like to say, we're going to go to bed at midnight and we're going to get up fresh. At 9 o'clock we start shooting and we're still going to be working from this improvisational base. I'm not going to tell you what lines to say, but this is who the character you are and I want you to have this attitude and we're rolling, go.
And a lot of Hollywood directors do that as well. I mean,
I like those people. Those are my people, man.
You know, they've made a lot of money doing those things. So one thing I was just kind of wondering, so because there's such a room for artistic expression, do you have any censorship issues? Is there anything that's written in the script there?
We in the guidelines that we.
Sorry, that's a good question. I was wondering. I'm glad that you asked that because
Oh,
we were wondering how far we could push it, but we never. I never asked. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm glad you kept it about where you did. So we advise the filmmakers that this is going to be screened before an audience and that it isn't rated, and so. You know, the audience can be all different ages, and we often have 14 and 15-year-old filmmakers participate.
Okay, so I can see where that would be an.
But I do remember watching a family come into the theater during one of the screenings, and I saw they had like a 4- and a 5-year-old child, and I went to the mom. I said, you know, this might not be a good idea. I mean, I want you to know these films are not rated, and you know, so the truth is, though, I think a lot of the filmmakers dial it back for this, and for two reasons. One is because they know it's going to be a multi-age audience, and second, they're competing for Audience Choice Award. They want the audience to like it, and if it's vulgar and, well, we did have one that was turned in by 15-year-old filmmakers that was.
Vulgar?
My co-producer called it
vulgar
an
teenagers? No way.
That way, kid.
Adolescence.
That's my kind of kid.
Yeah, there
All
you go. But in general, I think they dial it back. There's a filmmaker that's been in our festival in San Jose every year that we've been there, and I've seen his other independent work, and it's pretty foul-mouthed, but he dials it back for this festival because he wants to do something that works with the audience, and he knows the audience comes from a different.
So this is a big project. You play all over America, I guess.
The world.
I mean, yeah, the world.
76 cities this year across the world. 2 years ago, the winning film actually came from Tel Aviv. It was a film. They drew science fiction, just like you guys, and they made a film about a man who would know exactly how long you have to live if he touched you. And he also knew then how long he had to live.
Concept,
it was a beautiful film, too.
So what's some of the more peculiar films that you've seen?
There was a filmmaker, well, it was actually a couple who knew the producers of the Worldwide Festival, and they entered in San Jose. And they made this film that was sort of a political commentary, but they couldn't think of anything funny to do with it, so they amped up her voice and gave her a chipmunk voice to talk, and it was odd. And her friends acknowledged that, and she acknowledged that, and whatnot. It was just strange.
Just a little bit strange. How about you?
You know, I've seen a lot of the films here, but not nearly as many as Vincent has because he's been involved longer. Yeah, I can't say off the top of my head. There was a couple pretty off ones this year.
Yeah.
But it was mostly because the way they shot them. It was almost interesting because
okay, so they just
it was
yeah.
people maybe like a couple of them were
Messing
like
with your mind.
yeah,
and
like
all that,
well, there's
yeah.
like low like production value, but
Right.
like the sound was so like distorted that it almost sounded cool.
But I would think that maybe that might be something that someone would want to do. You know, I mean, sometimes that would be a choice. That would be
Yeah,
an
but you
option.
can. I think sometimes you can tell if it's a choice or if it's just.
Oh yeah,
That's all we knew how to do.
Okay. No,
You
he's
know.
the one that's when they're talking.
But-
Saying,
but
well,
this is what
my
it's-
original idea was to do a low.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, you can't take away the passion or just a complete. Because I met a couple people that didn't make the time limit. They did everything but missed it by a few minutes. We turned our film in, and it was sad. And you know, because that's so if you even finish on time and have something to turn in, that is an accomplishment in itself. And
right.
that's the reason I decided to do this. Like, because I've never done one of these before, but I wanted to, you know, explore my own limits and see, you know, could I push myself, stay up for 2 days? And it doesn't matter because at the end of that 2 days, you're going to have something to show.
Right.
It's going to be self-contained. You'll have a short film.
Yeah.
You don't have one on Friday night. You do have one on Monday morning.
So what's the strangest movie you've ever seen?
Well, last year we had a filmmaker whose entire crew just mutinied on him and left. And so all he was left with was a camera and himself.
Oh, no.
And he made a one-man movie about the story of his film team leaving and what they were going to
I
show.
am my own wife. You
He
know?
had he had like B-roll of a field going, this is the field where we were going to shoot.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
odd.
so you wanted me to talk a little bit about, and we have to talk quickly about your relationship with Schoolhouse Earth Media Labs. I mean, what is that?
Well, Schoolhouse Earth Media Labs is actually the reason I'm able to produce the 48-hour film project. That's my job, and then part of our expression of Media Labs is the 48-hour film project. We make alliances with film festivals and with community media outlets all around the area, and that's what we do.
So it sort of pays the bills, right?
That's what gets us in play.
We never really talked about cost, but we really don't have that much time left. So I just want to say thank you very much. Keep doing what you're doing. It's great, and I think the concept is awesome. I think, you know, getting into film, you have to learn a lot of things, you know, and it's sort of, you have to learn how to, especially 48 hours, you have to organize a lot.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work. Congratulations on your award.
Oh, thank you.
You know,
Thanks,
someday
Andrew.
we'll see you up in the
We'll see.
the big award shows.
We'll see if we get the
I'd
next
like
one
to thank
made.
all the little people, and that's all the time we have for What's Up With That. And I'd like to say to our viewing audience, as always, if you're walking down the street and you see something interesting like 48-Hour Film Project and you wonder to yourself, hey, what's up with that? Well, tune into our show, What's Up With That, and maybe you'll find exactly what you're looking for. We'll see you next week on What's Up With That. Good night, everybody.